A lawsuit in Massachusetts says a Catholic student in a medical education program was dismissed from the school after she objected to the part of the program that forced her to watch an abortion. The lawsuit against Springfield College was filed late last month. It alleges that the Catholic student enrolled in Springfield's physician assistant program was scheduled to see a procedure commonly used for late-term abortion. The student says she assumed she was going to witness a miscarriage and was, quote, overwhelmed at seeing that abortion. The student says she complained in an evaluation and was placed on academic probation, and her OB-GYN rotation was listed as incomplete. And for more, we turn to Kristi Hamrick, Vice President of Media and Policy for Students for Life Action. Kristi, thanks for joining us. We just heard the basic details of this case. What more can you tell us about the Catholic student and her allegations against Springfield College?
Well, what I can say is that it's not an isolated incident. We have a Future Medical Professionals for Life of America chapter at Students for Life. We have attorneys on standby. I know the American Association of Pro-Life OB-GYNs and gynecologists stands ready to support such students. What would be, don't we wish that this was isolated? And it just isn't. I right now have a daughter and son-in-law in medical school right now, and the pressure to turn a blind eye to abortion, to pretend that it's medical and not moral, there's tremendous academic, I think, lethargy still in terms of abortion, and still pushing toward a pro-abortion direction.
What an incredibly difficult situation. What more do we know about the school's physician assistant program, and was it common for students to witness an abortion? You're saying this is not an isolated incident.
It's not an isolated incident, and I think what's interesting is the way that this student seemed to be, and I'm going from the reports that I've read, seems to have been forced into the dynamic where it is not an abortion when you are not ending a preborn life. The issue isn't whether or not women and men in medical school are learning how to do a D&C to clean out a uterus. The issue is whether or not they're forced to kill children, why they learn it. That's the real core issue here, because the D&C is a procedure. A gun is a device. It's how it's used that matters, you know. So we're looking at something that's how something is employed, how something is executed. So she was told that she was going to see a procedure, assuming it was a miscarriage, and finds out that instead someone's going to die. That's a very different situation. There should be opt-in rules, not opt-out. And the difference in those two things is if you are seeking out an abortion, and God forbid, you should have to look to get that. It shouldn't be that everyone else is co-opted into the business of abortion. And it's I know the APLOG is very direct about the fact that most OB-GYNs don't do abortions. So to pretend now that they all have to be forced into that business is really, I think, just an effective campaign by the abortion lobby.
What are the next steps in the case? We mentioned the lawsuit was filed just last month.
Well, I imagine that the lawyers are gathering evidence. So I'm not involved in that particular case, so I don't want to speak to what they're doing. But having been involved in many similar cases, you're ready to see if the school will perhaps give in, facing lawsuit. Would they prefer to settle rather than go and continue? If not, you're going to go to depositions and gathering of evidence. We've certainly been through that at Students for Life many, many times. But I would encourage everybody to pray for this student. Again, my own daughter and son-in-law are in medical school, and I can't imagine the agony of this student, having devoted years and years of her life to the kind of study that achieves you a position in a prestigious school, and then to lose it because you don't want to do harm to preborn life. That's an extraordinary loss, and my heart as a mother really breaks for her.
Certainly a lot of moving parts here. A lot of eyes are going to be watching this case. Kristi Hamrick, Vice President of Media and Policy for Students for Life Action. We sure appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.